Hey everybody, my name's Liam. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about getting stuck in a creative rut. And it happens to all of us. It's more common than not, I think, for as artists, to fall into these ruts where we can't figure out, not only can we not figure out creative problems, but we kind of just cease to be creative. And it may look like, you get up in the morning, you get your coffee, you sit down at your desk, and, you just kind of hit a wall. And I think there's a lot of different ways to figure out how to hit the reset button for these kinds of things. And the longer I've been painting, the longer I've been doing this, and it's taken a while. I wish I would have known about some of these tricks earlier on. But you kind of start to figure out, oh, this is what will reset my brain. And I'm sure it's different for different people. So, take this with a grain of salt. It may not be the same thing. I'm always shocked when I talk to artists, and I listen to their practice and how they do things compared to how I do things, and I just think, wow, well, that definitely would not work for me, but it works for some people. And that's the other thing too, is it's really, as an artist, it's really hard to take blanketed advice sometimes. The art world is very nuanced, especially once you start kind of niching down into ideas and maybe even a specific style that you want to paint in. I know painting style is, that can be a very controversial topic. I kind of come from the idea that your style will emerge. You just have to learn how to paint good. And by paint good, I mean study forms, color values, get the basics down. Then your style will emerge out of that. But it's easy to, if you're trying to emulate certain painters or artists that you admire in the past. Maybe it's like John Singer Sargent, Maynard Dixon, something to that effect. It's easy to get caught up in these orbits of other artists, and it's important to reset that, right? And figure out, like, why am I even doing this? Well, what am I trying to paint? And one thing I like to do is, completely take a break from everything, meaning, a lot of times we're on our phones, we're on TV, we're watching TV. There's just like multiple distractions, right? And as artists, one of the most valuable things that you can do for yourself is to be quiet, be alone, be contemplative. I think a lot of these things, a lot of these times, when you're in this state, this is going to be, I think, when ideas will come to you. The other thing I think that is really important to do is to do these sketches like I'm doing here. And I'm going to talk through a little bit more about, why and how I do these. And so basically what I do is I will just get a cheap panel, I gesso it, and I tone it. So I knock out all the white. And what I'm doing is I'm going to start exploring ideas, figures, maybe landscapes. I'm going to start doing all this in a small format with no pressure. I'm going to paint this cow. I have no stress. If this is going to be a finished painting that I need to sell or take to a gallery or have some grand intellectual idea about, this is my time to have fun. And when you think about why we became artists in the first place, it always starts out to something, I think, in our childhoods. That was the fun, right? When we were kids, you saw something that captivated you so much that you were drawn to it and wanted to recreate it somehow, in your own, through the lens of your own eyes. And this is incredibly important, and I wish I would have known this earlier on when I started painting, because I do these often now. at the very least, I try to do these every day. And the benefits of this is like, there's multiple benefits. So one, you're building muscle memory, just by picking up the paintbrush and showing up to your easel. You're picking up muscle memory on shapes, color, and form. The other thing is it's going to inform your painting, I think, especially if let's say you want to do like multi-figure paintings. This is a great way to start out, I'm going to paint these different figures individually, and I'm going to explore the different characteristics and maybe facial features, lighting, that all these individual figures have. So when the time comes for me to actually execute this on a larger, bigger painting, on a canvas that I've prepped, maybe it's a linen panel that I spent a lot of time stretching, gessoing, and just getting that prepared, like a nice linen surface, as opposed to a surface like this that I really don't care about, and I don't think it's a good quality surface, but it's cheap and it's greasing the wheels. I like to always say this, I'm greasing the wheels, right? You always want to grease your wheels as a painter, meaning, if you go into your studio and you're not going to paint good, if your paint's not mixed up, your palette's not clean, you're disorganized, we'll prep that the day before. If if you're going to commit, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do 5 hours of painting. Well, what can I do to grease the wheels tomorrow? Well, I can make sure I don't have any chores I need to do around the house. I'm going to get those done, right? I'm going to get my studio cleaned up. I'm going to get my references all ready, because you'd be surprised how much all of that just completely, it really takes you out of the painting process. I like to have as much of that work done, so when lightning strikes, I can just show up and paint. But yeah, and I think doing these studies is a great way of, greasing the wheels. So that way, let's say I want to do a larger piece with multiple cows in them, right? And each cow has its own personality. Then I have already kind of done a lot of the heavy lifting here, I know I'm going to want this cow in there because maybe it has this specific personality I'm looking for, or direction of light. So yeah, these are all things you want to think about when you're painting, right? It takes time, but inspiration will find you working. I think that's a famous quote. A really good book I encourage everybody to read is called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. He talks about that quite a bit, and I think that's important, right? So hopefully you guys liked this video today. I've got some more artwork up on my website. Sign up for my newsletter there, and would love to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment below, like, and subscribe.